right, so I have a couple of articles for you today. One, as I think my title is going to suggest, another whiny white male who can't handle that they lost their job to a minority. Now, that's what he claims is happening. Whether that's actually what happened, well, let's just find out together. All right. CBS Broadcasting, because of course it's CBS again, and its parent Paramount Global are facing a discrimination lawsuit from former anchor Jeff Vaughn, who accuses his ex-employers of implementing policies that favor the hiring of individuals from certain groups and firing older white heterosexual men. Right. Vaughn, in a lawsuit filed on Monday in California federal court, says he was replaced in 2022 by a younger minority news anchor. He points to a CBS goal to ensure that half of all writers be non-white by 2023 and an initiative requiring half of all cast members on their reality shows to be minorities. Okay, if you are a TV anchor, then technically you are not a writer. So that shouldn't affect you that way. And reality shows, well, I guess technically you can call the news a reality show. But is it really? I mean, the way that genre is portrayed, not the news. So, again, all right, how does this affect you exactly? All right. The complaint seeks a court order blocking CBS's allegedly discriminatory hiring policies and for the company to offer Vaughn, who seeks at least $5 million, his job back. You know, it always makes me laugh when people are like, I want my job back, so I'm going to sue you. Who the hell, first of all, why would you want to work for a company that fired you for what you claim is a illegal reason? Why would you want to work for that company, first off? And secondly, why would that company want you back? Because it's obvious that, I mean, what, they're going to show that whining gets you where you want? Seriously, what do you think is happening here? And there seems to be a trend amongst conservatives where, because they lost their jobs for being horrible people, then that one of the conditions is they want their jobs back. No, that is not how jobs work. You are not, you do not have a right to work at that company, at that job. Now, should you be allowed to make a living? Absolutely. But companies get to decide who they want to work for them and in what capacity. Now, should it be for legit reasons? Absolutely. But a lot of these lawsuits are basically people who are whining because they didn't like the legit reasons that the company fired them for. CBS decided that there were too many white males at CBS, and it acted accordingly, the complaint states. It needed to solve its white problem by firing successful white males. I'm sorry, if you are that successful, you should be able to find a job somewhere else. You shouldn't have to force CBS to hire you back. I mean, you should be able to find a job somewhere. if you're that successful, then other media companies should be beating down your door wanting you to work for them. How can you say you're successful and then say, but I want my job back? No. The filing of the lawsuit follows a similar complaint from Brian Beneker, a script coordinator for SEAL Team, who alleges that he was repeatedly denied a staff writer job after the implementation of an illegal policy of race and sex balancing that promoted the hiring of less qualified applicants who were members of more preferred groups, namely those who identified as minorities, LGBTQ, or women. Right. And, I mean, I think I mentioned this before. I get why Charlemagne the God, has a problem with DEI policies, because that allows for douche nuggets like this to whine that the people that were hired who are minorities, racial minorities, gender minorities, sexual minorities, that they must be DEI hires. It couldn't possibly be that these people can do the job. I don't know who it was, but somebody accused the current White House spokesperson of being a DEI hire. And the only reason this person has is she's black. Because as we all know, minorities can't do jobs unless they're, put into them for no reason. Yeah, that's how that works. Like Beneger, Vaughn is represented by American First Legal Foundation. Of course they are. A conservative group founded by Stephen Miller, a White House policy advisor under the Trump administration. My gag reflex almost went off when I read Stephen Miller. The organization has been filing complaints with the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission against major companies, including Morgan Stanley, Starbucks, and McDonald's, over corporate diversity and hiring practices that allegedly run afoul of civil rights laws. Okay. It's amazing to me how these types of conservatives are whining about civil rights laws until they can use it to their advantage, or that they think they can use it to their advantage. Suddenly they're pro-civil rights. Pick one. But we all know that you only care about civil rights for white people. Straight white people. Possibly straight white male people. But everybody else, no, they should be under my boot just like they used to be, because the world revolves around me. The universe revolves around white men. So that's how it should remain. CBS and Paramount didn't immediately respond to requests for comment. According to the complaint, Vaughn, who worked at CBS for 7 years, learned in 2022 that his contract wouldn't be renewed for the following year. He says he wasn't provided a direct reason for the decision, but was told it's not about the ratings. So, of course, it has to be about discrimination, because those are the only two options. Just because it's not about ratings doesn't mean you didn't do some fucked up shit. And just as an aside, I watch CBS. Granted, it's mostly the evening news, but I do watch it. Not familiar with this person at all. Have no clue who this person is. So either it's a local CBS station, or he's on some other show on CBS, whether it's a streaming show or whatever, because I don't know who this person is. The reason, Vaughn alleges, is that CBS implemented a policy to increase diversity among its ranks. He says the effort went into high gear when Wendy McMahon, whose name is in the complaint, was promoted in 2021 to president of CBS News and Stations. Under her leadership, the lawsuit says the company prioritized diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives, hired and promoted several women and or people of color to serve in key roles. Granted, Nora O'Donnell is now the CBS News anchor, but there are quite a few women. There's a few women of color. Not a fan of Nora O'Donnell as an anchor, but the anchors on the weekends, not a problem. Both black women. So, just because they promoted women and people of color doesn't mean it's not because they can't do it's not that they can't do the job. It's just that this was a leadership decision. Now, it would be nice if CBS or Paramount came up with something that said why he was fired, because he claims that he wasn't given a reason, which is bizarre because usually you're given a reason. Whether you consider that reason bullshit is a different story, but you're normally given a reason. And nothing cryptic like it's not the ratings. Vaughn, then 57, says he was replaced because he didn't meet those criteria. He takes issue with the network not moving forward with his story ideas for 20th anniversary 9/11 special. And now we're getting somewhere. He was probably being hella annoying about his ideas for the special, and CBS finally just said, just go away. That sounds much more plausible than the fact that he's a whiny white man baby. Well, he is still that, but it has nothing to do with the fact that he's white and a man. It has everything to do with, him probably pushing his ideas a little too hard. It would also be nice to know what his ideas were, because, maybe they were legit ideas, or maybe they were just totally horrible. Who knows? Maybe they were good ideas. But, it depends on how annoying you are about pushing the ideas. I remember, now I do know that when you're looking for a job, you're supposed to check in every so often to find out, am I still in, or at least it used to be that way, that am I, still in the running, but we had someone who literally called every day to find out the status of their application. And finally, the executive director had to lie and say that the position had been filled, because it was just getting to the point of annoyance. It's like, yes, you should periodically check in, but not every freaking day. So it might have been something like that they were just being super annoying about pushing their ideas, and finally CBS had enough. That makes more sense than they just wanted to hire a minority. This African American colleague hosted the show. Oh boy. And reporters from minority groups hosted all the featured stories, states the complaint, which notes that Vaughn was excluded from other events he typically covered in favor of colleagues who are women or racial minorities. Not one of them had personally been present at Ground Zero reporting during the events of 9/11. Yes, and we're getting to the point, which it's been so long that you're going to have more and more of those. I have to look up Jeff Vaughn now because oh, for crying out loud. All right. Okay, he was an LA anchor. So that explains everything. All right. So, okay. When CBS held auditions for Vaughn's replacement, the lawsuit claims that all the candidates were younger racial minorities. In 2023, Vaughn was terminated with a black male assuming his position, according to the lawsuit. Okay. This is LA. So, yes, there are plenty of white people, but there's also plenty of racial minorities. So, the fact that that's what they had, not surprising. Now, do I believe that was only racial minorities? No. No, I do not. Because that actually is illegal to only have racial minorities. There's a difference between wanting to expand diversity and excluding white people because that would be reverse discrimination. However, I don't believe a word this person is saying. In the wake of the Supreme Court's decision knocking down affirmative action, of course, that it's not just that DEI exists, but because affirmative action was knocked down, every white person, every entitled, whiny white person, mostly male, is going to whine because, they're entitled to a job because they're white or something. The lawsuit further calls into question the legality of diversity, equity, and inclusion programs that explicitly account for race, which has been on legally tenuous ground. Last year, 13 Republican attorneys general wrote letters to Fortune 100 companies warning them that several of their efforts to boost diversity are discriminatory. In response, a group of Democratic attorney generals urged them to double down on diversity-focused programs. In Students for Fair Admissions versus Harvard, the group that sued claimed a violation of the 14th Amendment's Equal Protection Clause, which protects against discrimination by the government. Although the ruling is not directly applicable to companies, which are governed by a separate set of federal and state anti-discrimination laws that do not allow employers to consider race in hiring decisions. America First Legal Foundation, the firm representing Vaughn and Benneker, has leveraged the decision in lawsuits that could signal opening legal salvos against efforts to boost diversity and inclusion in Hollywood. Again, white, whiny man babies who are acting like white, whiny man babies. Now, I would love to know more. Like I said, I'm pretty sure that he was just being a little too forceful in his ideas about this 9/11 documentary, and it's probably not just that. But it would be nice if we heard more from CBS's side of the story. What exactly was he doing? Because I do not believe for 1 minute that it was only because he's an older white man. Older, possibly. That is a possibility because just like the entertainment industry in general, looks are very much paramount. So it's entirely, looks could possibly be a reason. I will grant you that, but it has nothing to do with your race. It now you could then claim ageism. You could totally do that if it's totally just on looks, but not your race. All right, let's keep going. Oh, that is the end of the article. So then this article also has the actual filing, which I'm not going to go over. So let's go from a whiny white man baby to people doing something sensible. A bill that bans child marriage in Sierra Leone has been signed into law, which is awesome. President Julius Maada Bio, I hope I came close to saying that correctly, said late Tuesday in an effort to protect girls in the West African nation where about a third are married before adulthood. The law is being celebrated widely. It criminalizes marrying any girl who is under 18 years old. Offenders face up to 15 years in prison or a fine of around $4,000 or both. Witnesses to such marriages will also face jail or a fine. I have always believed that the future of Sierra Leone is female, Bio said on a social media platform X. Blech. This and future generations of girls must thrive in Sierra Leone, in which they're protected, equal, and empowered. Sierra Leone is home to 800,000 child brides, with half of them married before age 15, according to the UN Children's Agency. That's just ew. First Lady Fatima Bio was among the key champions of the law that also provides improved access to education and support services for children affected by child marriage. When it was passed by Parliament as a bipartisan bill in June, she called it a significant step forward in protecting the rights of our next generation. So that was a quick article, but a wonderful update because what the hell, guys? So anyway, I believe that is all I have for this video, and in that case, and blah 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 blah, I can't talk. So with that, I will see you guys in the next video.